Chris. You muted. You muted, Chris.
Oh my God, mute from Rip, man. As I was saying, come on in, everyone. This is Off the Court with OG, presented by Zenni Gaming. Um, as I was saying, this was the podcast that kind of gives you access to Nets gaming crew, and their general manager and head coach, OG King CURT. Hence the show named after him, and also gives you access to the team in general, the stories behind the squad, and any anecdotes all throughout season 5 of the NBA 2K League. When we first started this, it was Kurt and I every other week throughout season 4. And here we are now on episode 25, and we're highlighting this anniversary show. And for the first time ever, we're live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube simultaneously. And furthermore, to double down on this very special edition of the podcast, we also have NBA 2K League All-Star Center Shotz. Gentlemen, that's it with the intro. I'll stop talking. What's up? How are you guys?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm just actually in out of town at the moment, just enjoying some off time as well as the players. So I just gonna use this time to recharge.
Connor, what about yourself?
Yeah, just like her. I didn't go home. I'm still in New York, but it's a recharge week. Just take a week off and try to regroup and make a run in the turn.
Exactly. See, Kurt, and your background is kind of throwing me off. We've had all sorts of backgrounds throughout the previous 24 episodes of this show, so we got another brand new one from you today.
Hey, what you think? What you think about it?
I like it. I mean, usually there's like the color is a nice touch. It's like a celebratory feel to it, which kind of fits in nicely with this show. Normally, I'm in the driver's seat, everyone, but today we encourage each and every single one of you guys in the chat to leave us with any questions that you may have for Shotz or Kurt. I see Streets is in here, Strider. I know, with the mute gang very early in the stream. Big Perm. But like I said, leave your questions in the chat. We'll get to as many as we can. If for whatever reason we don't get any questions, I'll throw some questions at these guys today while we have them. Before we kind of jump into 3v3, I kind of want to highlight this very weird pocket of time that you guys are in right now. We're not yet at the turn, playing by 5v5, but you guys also didn't qualify for the 3v3 Slam Open. So how are you guys using this time to decompress? How is this period important for you?
If you date back, a few seasons ago, I mean, bye weeks were definitely a thing and important in my eyes, as far as just having that rest time in between playing. This year, I didn't even think about the fact that when you add the 3v3 aspect of it to it, that it's just back to back to back, nonstop playing and practicing. So this week, unfortunately, we didn't qualify for Indy. But when I looked at the schedule again, is that basically if you didn't qualify for Indy, of course you'd be in. For us, we would be in market this week, and then the following week would be the amateur qualifier. So we'd have another week in preparation for the turn. So I thought it was in our best interest that we've been playing a lot of 2K, a lot of practicing. Some highs, some mids, some lows, and I just felt like it'd be best if just everybody just take some time off. I made as many people as I could go home, see their family, get in a different environment, and just get that love back and the passion back, and be ready to go forward in the turn.
Shotz, what about you? Like, what are you doing to relax? How are you doing things to kind of maybe find that reset button for you?
It's just a lot different this year with the 3v3. I think what was just weird about it is how we were in Indy for the tip off and we were playing 5v5 and we came back and it's like, oh, we had 2 days of practice for 3v3 and then now like we have a bunch of time off. So like I think the balance is kind of weird. It's different. It's different from different seasons and it's also like I think it's just changing a lot throughout the season. So now it's back on the 5v5 and we just worry about 5v5 now when we come back. So just take the time off and just everyone decompress like Kurt said, and everyone get their mental as good as they can when we come back, and then just lock in and try to make a run.
Now, before we kind of really dive and preview the turn and 5v5, obviously the rest of the league or the league, the teams that qualified are in Indy right now. Speaking about it through the lens of NetsGC, Shotz, Kurt, in your opinions, what went wrong? And was there like an adjustment period to it? And is that adjustment period still even happening?
I think it's pretty simple for us. I mean, internally, but externally, it wasn't hard to see that we struggled at times to take care of the ball and make shots, and I think that was a critical piece to why we didn't advance. Definitely in week one of group play, we could have easily swept that week.
Yep.
We had two, we went game fives, 2 series. Definitely some games that we felt like we let slip away, or more or less gave away. No discredit to the teams that took on the victory, but we definitely let some games fall that we shouldn't have. But it was mostly all in result to just turning over the ball and not making shots.
Shots, like walk us through that first night of 3v3 and you're at your team's facility. You've gone through like maybe part of your normal routine. You put on your jersey, but instead of loading up, you're watching that first matchup against Celtics crossover from the sidelines. How weird was that for you, especially considering like this is year 5?
I don't think it was necessarily just playing. I think it was more necessarily just playing 3v3 in general in the league. Like that was more like of the eye opener, and it's like, oh wow, we're not gonna be playing 5v5 for like a few weeks. And I felt like me and Burn, like on the 3v3 and Steve. I'll use Steve instead of Burn, so I don't confuse people. But me and Steve, I felt like we were pretty much the same thing. We were playing threes, like we were pretty much doing he could pretty much do anything that I was doing on threes. So I think it was best for them to just start. And Kurt came to me like, I think we should just have them start it off and see how they do. And we should have won that series. And like Streets after that series had told me like, oh, maybe you should have played. And I'm like, no, because you guys had the series won. We just didn't execute. Like, and that was pretty much all the losses after that too. Like we have no one to blame but ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Again, if you guys are in the chat, feel free to drop any questions. It's not every day or, it's a very rare occurrence here on Off the Court with OG when we have both Kurt and Shotz here with us. I believe the last time we had Shotz here, I think Doc was here with us too. And that was leading into season 5. Just a couple more questions on 3v3 before we move on. And both of you guys can kind of answer this. We look at 3v3 as, I don't want to say a problem, but as a puzzle that really isn't going anywhere. And I think we have no choice but to solve. And we get like 2 more cracks at it at least. In your opinions, like what's that first step in trying to maybe close out these close games? Because Kurt kind of alluded to it. 2 best-of-5 series against Washington, against Boston that maybe kind of slipped through, your guys' fingers, especially when you guys were at game point a couple times against both those teams. What's that first step in trying to find success in both 5v5 and 3v3 so that we kind of match a team like Wizards, DG?
I think for me it's pretty much everything is about the process and looking forward to progressing. I think for Doc is phenomenal as has showed from time to time. It's still a new role for him to come out and be that guy. So I think him having experience and things of that nature is only going to help his confidence going forward. The same in 5v5 with Tate. It's just about getting experience. But like I I told everybody from the beginning, especially those two, that you have to grow up fast. I mean, you're playing the most pivotal position in the game in the point guard. And then in this year, the shooting guards, teams that's having a tremendous amount of success, the shooting guard is playing phenomenal in that role. So I think going forward, getting that the first tournaments out the way and looking forward to building off of those. I mean, and it's the simple mistakes that we've been making that we just need to clean up. I think our defense has been phenomenal. Offensively from time to time we struggled. Even in 3v3, we did from time to time, and that's how we let games slip away. And that was a surprising time for all of us because we didn't really expect that to happen. With Doc being familiar with 3v3 and that being a platform of where he came from. So, but like I said, it's all about experience, and the guys keep believing in each other. And, just keep grinding it and chipping away at it every day. It's a long season. For me, I have to date back, for the last 2 years that we've had success with NetsGC, we've never got off to a rocket start, so to speak. So I think we have always been one of those teams that get better as the season goes on.
Shotz, I know you're an extreme competitor. The very first day I got to kind of meet you in person was in Vegas, and I got to see that firsthand. In your opinion, team's gonna get another crack at 3v3. What do you think needs to change?
I think we gotta find like our identity in both modes, like 3v3 and 5v5, and more so on like the offensive end. I think we just sometimes like we're prepared and we know what we're doing, but we kind of don't know what we're doing, if that makes sense. So I think more of just like an identity on like what we really want to do, especially on offense. 3v3 it's a little harder because there's just less going on in 3v3. For that too, that's more just taking care of the ball. I think we turn the ball over a lot, and in 3v3 when you turn the ball over, you're not going to win at all. So the fact that we were going to game 5 to turn the ball over, I thought was impressive. So we just got to stop turning the ball over and find an identity on offense. Defensively, I feel like we're one of the best. We could still be a little bit better. Like I don't feel like we're like top like 3 in the league yet, but I think we're right there. So I think like just a little bit of more consistency on defense, but we've pretty much brought that every game. So I think just taking care of the ball and on offense find identity. I think that's when we'll see things start to turn around.
I love it. Definitely a marathon and not a sprint. We're halfway through episode 25 of Off the Court with OG and Shotz on this evening, live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. A shout out to Jay Curtis 32, Prince, and I Won't Fail there, who Kurt kind of getting some love in the chat. Again, this is Off the Court with OG, presented by Zenni Blocks. I mean, you've seen the team wear all kinds of frames this season on stream when they're on the NBA 2K League broadcast, both for style, obviously, and because of the practicality they provide against the blue light that radiates from their screens. Make sure you visit Zenni Gaming or zenni.com/netsgc to grab your own pair of glasses or sunglasses. So we talked about 3v3. Let's put that in the rearview mirror just for a little bit and kind of focus our attention on 5v5, because it seems like ages ago since I've last seen you guys play 5v5, and we left on such a it left a bad taste, at least, I know in Kurt's mouth, your mouth, probably the rest of the teams. It really kind of didn't end the way you guys were hoping for. So, I'm excited to kind of turn the next page or turn to the next chapter here with 5v5. The last time we saw you guys play was against Heat Check Gaming, day 1, live in Indianapolis of the tip-off. I guess really my first question for you guys is, do you guys expect there to be, I know we've seen you guys adjust from going from 5v5 to 3v3, but do you expect there to be any challenges whatsoever with now you guys officially flipping back, like 5v5 to 3v3, now back to 5v5, or is it because it's 5s, so there shouldn't be any issues?
I'll speak from the GM coaching aspect of it. I think it's going to be a unique transition from week in to week out, and especially since it's almost been it'll be almost a month,
Yeah.
going into the fact that we haven't played 5v5 competitively. But I think that's what the league is going, the challenge that it's going to present. That you're just going to have to be ready to go, each and every week and each and every time you load up. And I think I kind of like it from the competitive standpoint that every game matters. Even to backtrack a little bit, the 3v3, although we didn't qualify for Indy, 2 points is better than no points. I mean, so you still give yourself a chance for the 3v3 playoffs and to be able to compete for a championship. And as we get ready to go back into 5v5, is just regaining focus and understanding what we have been good at and what we can continue to get better at. And then some of the things that we haven't been so good at, just to channel back in on that and work in those areas to be a better team. So, like I said, from the competitive standpoint, I like it because now you can't slack no matter where you're at, where your position is at in the league or in the conference and different things like that, because things are going to change from week to week, month to month. So you have to treat every game, like it's your last almost.
Yeah, and I can't help but shake the feeling like Shotz, like a different mindsets must be weird though, right? Like to go from, I mean, 1 week ago, you guys were trying to desperately climb out of a hole in 3v3 to try to get into bracket play. And now you kind of have to think, oh, we're tied for first place in the Eastern Conference. Like we're near the top of the 5v5 standings. Like, is that weird? Or do you just try to take it with an approach of, okay, I got to forget everything that just happened the last 2 weeks?
I feel like they're kind of different, yeah, just because it's such a different style of play, and 5v5, obviously the whole team's involved. And 3v3, we're all involved. It's just in separate ways, and we only 3 of us play at the same time. So I feel like it's harder to bring the team together around 3v3 in general. But with the 5v5, yeah, I think that Heat game, it feels like so long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the new format, it's weird. It's different. Like you said, I'm ready to play 5v5 again. We played one scrim one day of 5v5 the last 2 weeks, and we played it, and it just was different. It felt different. So I think that's not only other teams are going to be going through that too, not just us. So it's not like we're the only ones not playing 5v5. So everyone in the league is going through that same adjustment. And for some teams, it's going to be even longer because they're still playing 3v3, and we've already kind of moved past it right now. So really, just you kind of want to separate them, even though it's still money's on the line for both, but it's just such a different aspect between each one.
Just kind of building on that, Shotz. You've seen it all, right? This is year 5 of your career. I know you have, and the rest of the team has extremely high expectations, regardless of the draft picks that the team had coming into the season. Despite NetsGC being near the top of the Eastern Conference standings, you guys already have 4 points. Despite all of that, what do you think the team needs to kind of improve on or work on next to kind of either maintain your spot in the standings or kind of take a charge at that first seed maybe?
Yeah, I already kind of said it. I think it's just the offensive end. We need to really figure that out. I think defensively, we've made a lot of strides and still are. I think offense, it's gotten better, but it's coming along a lot slower than defense. And really, we just need to be consistent. We need to get good looks, good shot attempts. A lot of times we're pretty stagnant. We can get stagnant, and we've had our moments. And a lot of times, I think our defense will give us, transition buckets and stuff like that. So it's nice, but just being consistent on offense and finding an identity what we really want to do.
Kurt, you've kind of talked. You already mentioned this a little bit earlier. In every season you've kind of been a part of, there's been a ebb and flow and up and down. You guys, NetsGC doesn't really ever hit the ground running. There's always kind of a build up to it. And I'm assuming on that path there are not only high highs but really low lows. Do you struggle at times to kind of pick your spots on when to kind of interject your opinions and thoughts when you see your team down, and kind of try and separate that from the scenarios where you think you should just let them figure it out?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because for me, it's one of those type things that when players are struggling or not playing well individually or as a team, they kind of know it. Like, it's not anything that they're unaware of at the time. So I think, that's why I like to spend a lot of time getting to know each and every player as individuals. So you kind of learn how to channel their energy in different ways. I mean, some players can handle more than others, and some, some can't. So I think I like to take a sense of pride in just knowing how to deal with everybody as individuals, but also, making them aware of the situation. And I think Steve's has said this word probably more often than not throughout the season, is just having that sense of urgency each and every second of the game. Like, I think, and that's really, I think at times when we've made strides and we come in and we've been ultra locked, and it showed in the game, in our play style, and ultimately the result of the game. And then there's been moments where we have come in and haven't been as focused and locked, and things didn't tend to go our way. And like I said, I like to attribute all of that to just learning curves. I mean, even for myself, I don't think this is a position where you're going to not learn anything from year to year. I think, I've been learning a lot, each and every year, and this year in particular. I mean, having a rookie PG that's getting his first crack at it. I looked over the past seasons in the league, and a lot of rookie PGs come in ready, boom, they explode right away, and some of them don't. I mean, they hit walls more frequently than others, and that's where I kind of just try to be there for them and help them grow through those moments. So yeah, I definitely I have to pick my spots. It's like I tell the guys all the time. They're focused, on themselves, and I have to focus on all five at one time. So it's a little different. But this group really overall has been a decent group. I mean, like I said, they're aware most of the time of what it is that we're not doing or what we could be doing. But like I said, a lot of it comes down to experience and mainly just getting comfortable and just being, the player that they know they can be, and the person that they know they can be. I mean, I always say 6 months seems like a long time, but when you put this amount of stress and energy into it shrinks and it goes by really, really fast. Before you know it, we'll be in June. So it's definitely the season is moving, and you have to move just as fast to keep up.
Yeah, I love it. I know a lot of teams kind of talk the talk, but I think other groups, given the hand that NetsGC was given before the draft in terms of draft picks, would have maybe, I don't know, set a ceiling or a cap on what they're trying to hope to achieve. But here I am kind of sitting in front of you guys. And this, again, despite being third place in the Eastern Conference, currently locked into a 5v5 playoff spot, I can feel like expectations have not been met just yet for you guys. And it's really cool to see. Final question before we kind of sign off here, guys, on Off the Court with OG and Shotz, episode 25. Maybe, again, this show it kind of takes pride in trying to kind of peel back the layers on the team and kind of try to reveal stuff about the team that normally followers and fans wouldn't get a chance to find out. So maybe each of you kind of tell us one thing that maybe surprised you about each of Streets, Tate, and Steez. Maybe one thing you guys didn't expect or maybe caught you off guard.
I'll say for me, like Steve's, I think I always knew what type of player he was, man, what type of professional he has been, but the leadership that he provides for NetsGC is like unmatched. I mean, I think he probably everybody they think I'm super stable, but I think from the player side of it, for him to be fully engaged each and every second, you know, positive reinforcement. He knows when to say things, knows when not to say things. I mean, I think it's his value is like you couldn't even put a price on it. I think that, and that's on and off the court, there, in and out of the practice facility. He's just been great, and I think a lot of people have fed off of that, myself included. I mean, he makes my job a lot easier, and I'm definitely appreciative for him. And then for Streets, for him being young, I think I like his demeanor and his approach to the game. Like, I mean, he never gets like too rattled or anything. He showed me something, a different side of him in Indy that I liked. Just his passion and being intense and different things of that nature. Because I think for the most part, like he's a happy, go lucky guy. I mean, he makes his points. He say a lot of off the wall things here and there, aside from 2K, but just a pure soul, just a good kid, want to win, want to play better, want everybody to play better around him. So he's been a pleasure too. And just as far as Tate, just continue to learn and grow. He's young. Just graduated high school not too long ago. So to come into this environment, I think a lot of players understand real quick what it's like to be a pro, where as in pro-am, every little thing you do doesn't always matter. That every little thing that you do is not taking away hundreds and potential thousands of dollars out your pocket. And I think players tend to learn fast, like, if you don't hone in and do your job and start doing some of the things that you haven't been used to doing, that now you have to do as a pro. I think it kicks in real quick, and then you kind of start asking yourself, like, are you ready for this, or is this something that you really want to do long term? Because it is stressful. And I want to ask you, Chris, before you swing it over to Shotz, when you describe Shotz, you said you said something. What was you said something about, it was something about his passion or something like that, or extreme something. I forget what you said.
I think it was like an extreme competitiveness.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the best. That's the best word to describe Shotz. That's why when you said it kind of rung a bell. So I wanted to remember that, but that's the best way to describe it.
Yo,
Extreme competitive.
I remember, like, after that KMT loss, Connor was gone. Like, yeah, he was ready. I thought the airport was like just across the street. Like, that's how he made me feel. Shotz, just kind of, I don't know, final, you're their teammates, you're in the trenches there with them. Little tidbits on either Streets, Tate, or Steez that you've kind of learned about them now that you're their teammates.
I'll start with Tate. I think one thing with him was his passing. We scouted him, and I scouted him like before the draft, and like he was pretty solid at everything. But when we got him, I was like, okay, the kid could pass. Like, and I'm pretty sure, like, if you look at the advanced stats, like in the league, I've seen some, like, he's pretty much up there, like in the top half, or like top like third. So I'd probably say that surprised me. It's just strictly about his game. Sean Streets, I never really knew too much about him personally. I more knew him like that. He more like about like how good he was, like from playing against him, especially this year when I was playing with KMT. We used to play him in retail all the time. But the one thing that surprised me about him is like how mature he is. I didn't know like he had a kid and everything until we interviewed him and all that. But before that, I never talked to him. Like, he's really mature, like good dude. Like, he's hungry to win. Like, and so I better probably say he surprised me in that aspect, like just being so mature for his age. And then Steve, unlike Kurt, like Kurt was more saying about his leadership. I kind of expected that out of him, even though his leadership is unmatched, like Kurt said. I'm not like downplaying it, but I kind of expected that from him. I already told him too, like he surprised me guarding pick and roll. Like I didn't think he really had it in him like that. And I was confident in him, like when we drafted him, like, oh yeah, like, we'll throw him on the pick and roll, be fine. But like he really like he be moving on it now. So I guess he said shout out to the burn tents for that. So we'll just shout out for the burn tents for that and keep it pushing.
Yeah, he's playing like he's got something to prove and then some. Obviously we will never forget it. Taken 49th in the draft. Let's come on, guys. All right, before we wrap things up on the show, any final thoughts or words from either of you?
I want to thank everybody for tuning in the stream. Jay Curtis, that's my daughter. So so she
Okay.
been in league streams and different things like that. But just thanks everybody for tuning into the stream. We definitely gonna get back to the basics and do the best that we can do and us maintaining our competitiveness and where we stand in the 5v5. And we definitely we can only get better. We won't get. I promise you, we won't get any worse. I mean, we're only gonna get better. We're hitting the middle of the season stride, and this is it's, ironically the turn is most of the time where people either they hit that stride, they go upward, or they go downward, and and I want to keep our tradition regular is that normally around the turn we hit a stride and we start going upward. And I think we're more than capable of doing that. The word that, besides urgency, but just being consistent in everything that we do. And I think we'll be just fine.
Shotz, any final thoughts, words?
Thanks everyone for listening. For sure, like Kurt said, the turn is pretty much like the biggest tournament of our season, every season. So, because it's the point where you either like get a lot of momentum or you kind of just stay in the middle. So, hoping for a big run for sure.
Awesome. I 100% agree with both of you. This is that time of especially now with the weird, unique, condensed schedule and format. In the next few weeks, teams are going to become who they're supposed to be and who they ultimately end up being and what they're defined by. So should be an exciting time. Can't wait to see the team get back into their 5v5 rhythm. Thank you to each and every single person tuning in live, and even to everyone who ends up watching this on their own time on demand, whether that be on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook. Make sure to follow Nets Gaming Crew on all social platforms. If you end up, if you didn't have a question tonight, but you think of a question for future episodes, you can still be a part of that show by emailing us your questions to netsgcmailbag@bseglobal.net. Again, visit our friends over at Zenni Gaming by visiting zenni.com/netsgc on behalf of Kurt and on behalf of Shotz and everyone over at NetsGC. I'm Christian Charisma, and this was Off the Court with OG. Let's talk again soon.